Auto Assembly 2011. It was very much fun. I did my haul video. My haul video is just my haul video, and it's just about what toys that I bought. And my left eye is so sticky and ganky tonight. I don't know what's going on. I think it's just lack of sleep mixed with just pink eye. I got pink eye! Auto assembly was just miles hugely more than buying toys. Although I did take specifically a very large suitcase to fit my flotilla of lovely, lovely plastic crack that came back with me. I swapped days off, which I'm not sure if it was the best thing or it could have been the best thing, or I've done it now, so it's done. But I arranged to have the Monday and the Tuesday off after, and I swapped it because of all the shit that went on the run up to auto assembly. It was a real toss up whether we were getting there at all, and I thought it was just prudent that I changed days off to make sure that if I needed to change anything on the run up, plus it gave me time to go and get my barnet chopped and just make sure anything that needed doing was doing. And I did a wash and I packed everything on the Thursday, so Friday I just had to get up, brush my teeth and get on. Waiting for coaches is shit. Coaches are shit. Having to stop for an hour in between because the coach driver needs a break, while understandable, is still shit. Pulling into Birmingham. Actually, no, that's not Oxford. When you think of Oxford, Oxford's supposed to be a beautiful place of education and learning, and people going, yes, I am discussing the philosophy of life. No, that's not Oxford at all. Oxford is all about scabby, Morrissey-looking, horrible people begging and sitting there going, if you got any money, can I have £1? And on the way up there, the stopover, it's like we went for a little tinkle, and I didn't want to go in the toilets. I thought I was going to get bummed. It was horrible. It's just a really, really horrible place to be. I didn't like it. I was very pleased to get back on the coach. My legs had stopped working completely, but I was still very pleased to get back on the coach. And then coming into Birmingham, we went to the airport, and the excitement had started to build at this point, because you get to the airport and you're only around the corner, and we're picking out buildings that we recognised from last time that we were there and all that sort of jazz. And the melon had a bit of a sleep on my shoulder, and you know when a girl falls asleep on your shoulder and you're kind of honour bound as a man to sit there being a rock of justice and go like, yes, you will fall asleep on my shoulder because I will protect you. When you're a man, what you actually think is, I really want to move. If I move, I'll wake her up, and I can't. And I'm just sat there for like 3 million years, just like, don't do it, girls. It's not fair. Anyway, we're getting into Birmingham, and we're starting to see buildings that we recognise. It's like, nearly there. And then as we get close, Birmingham's fucked up. Because Southampton's like a sleepy little place. It's not a little place at all, but nothing really kicks off down here. Nothing ever really goes on. Southampton, while Southamptonians know that there are some rather interesting areas of Southampton, as a rule, as a main, Southampton's fairly sedate. Birmingham was smashed to shit. And driving past a richer sounds which had no stock and no windows and people just boarding stuff up on the front. There's no door. It was just a big gap in the middle of some wooden boards. That's incredible to me. That's absolutely incredible. And what people didn't realise, that if the rioting had been one more weekend, if it had been one weekend later, it would have been us lot at auto assembly, literally looking down off the balcony at people fucking shit up, burning stuff and looting like 30 feet below us, literally right under our feet. It's quite sobering when you approach and things like that. However, on the bright side, we got to the coach station, got a taxi, literally got off the coach, got into a taxi and went, can you take us to the Mad Ass Fun, please? And he went, yes, of course. And we went straight off there. And the money was quite good for the taxi. I don't really get taxis very much because I'm a driver. I like driving. I'm a control freak. I want to drive because then I know that I'm in control. So we turn up and I'm a bit jittery. And this is going to sound really bad, and I'm not going to talk about this, but I am going to talk about this. So if you find this in any way... I've been doing YouTube for 2 years now, and it's 2 years this month I've been doing YouTube because I got my first camera just before my birthday, and my birthday's on the 25th. So I've actually been doing YouTube for about 2 years minus a week. And I really enjoy it, and I've got subscribers, and I've got people that go, oh, you're great. And I didn't know what to expect. Last year I went to Auto Assembly and I was beautifully anonymous. And I met up with Bubs and Brad and people like that. And I really look forward to it. And this year I didn't know I didn't know what the reception was going to be like, whether it was going to be good or bad or weird. And I struggle with people. I really struggle with people. I'm just socially inept. I'm shit. So and the Melon as well, she doesn't really do crowds. She doesn't like crowds at all. Get a skinful down there and she'll sort of strip naked in front of a crowd of 1,000 people if it means that she'll get a free Zambuca. But when she's sober, she doesn't like them at all. So we kind of ducked away and went straight up to the hotel room and unpacked our stuff and that sort of thing. And the hotel room was really nice. Really nice. Very pleased. So we got changed, had a bit of a shower, went downstairs to the bar, and everyone was there. And I sort of kept myself to myself, and Helen saw someone she knew, and I went to the bar, and we hadn't gone to get our badges or anything like that, and I kind of did everything a bit backwards. And it's really weird meeting people for the first time when you haven't seen them in a year, and when you've been there for a couple of hours and you see someone you haven't seen in ages, you're like, and you shout at them and you sort of and all that sort of stuff. But when you're the first there, or you've only been there 5 minutes, you just feel like a right knob going, hey, love you, 12 months. After that, things got a little blurry. And I don't really remember an awful lot because I got moderately drunk quite quickly and then I got quite drunk quite slowly. And apparently on the Friday night I was desperately trying to have very sensible conversations with lots of people, and none of them made any sense because while they were talking to me, all I was doing was doing lots of this. Yeah. Yeah. Robot. Because I was just shit-faced. Apparently Helen was interpreting for me quite a lot. She's like, yes, no, yes. He would like that. He says yes on my behalf. Not that she's my puppet master. So anyway, let's talk about the exciting things that happened. But for those who watch my channel, you may or may not be aware that I've had I have idols within the YouTube Transformers community, and I have people that I interact with and talk to, and it's very easily done. It's very easily done because the beautiful anonymity of YouTube means that at this very moment you are listening to me and you're seeing me do all this gesticulation and voices and stuff like that. You can't do that in public. You can't. While this is me being me per se, it's not me being me, because me being me needs to be me with other people in public, and it's not really, it doesn't go that way. So I met Sam, and I met Barbs and Kev and H and Luffy, whose birthday it was a week ago. Happy birthday, McLuffington, Exilion, and got sort of cuddles off everyone. I even put my arm around H, and he closed his eyes and went like that as if to say, I don't like it, but did it anyway. You know deep down you like it. And I saw someone at the corner of my eye, and I'm like, I'm still too shy to go and talk to him. I really ought to, because I've got to be here all weekend. And then the next thing I turn around, and then there's this curly in my wake, and go, oh, no! And had a bit of a cuddle off Ray. Which, fuck him. Didn't make my weekend. 2 other things made my weekend. One of them includes my horrible man crush, and the other one doesn't, but I'm very grateful. So yeah, and it broke the ice. And George was there, so I got a hug off George, and I met Tony, who loves his Star Trek, and I just sat with a bunch of very cool nerds. Does that make sense? Maybe we're Kurds. No. And we just talked toys. And this is one of the highlights. Is that Raymondo, in one of his last videos before we went, said, because I've always wanted sit. Good boy. I've always wanted a Transmetal 2 Megatron. This is before I was going all beastie and said, I don't like stupid beast bots, but I've always had a fetish for dragons, and I've always had a fetish for chrome, and this is a red chrome dragon. And Ray said, I'm bringing this for you to play with, so I was very excited about sitting there and having my first play with a red dragon. And I took my Jetwings Optimus Prime. So we kind of did a bit of a toy swap. And all of a sudden, Ray's going, and he's got a bag full of beasts. And just stuff and toys, and he's got an Energon tidal wave, which I ended up not buying his one, but buying a one. And it's just geeks sat around a table, clicking plastic and talking about it and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure George called me existential for the evening because I said something that was very sort of heartfelt about the YouTube community. That wasn't just I like doing robot films, me. It was about, you know, how it makes me feel and how sort of fulfilling I find it within my life that I do this thing that I'm, you know, enjoy and think I'm reasonably good at, and sort of how that sort of faith in myself to do this well augments all the other things that are possibly a struggle in my life, and if you do one thing well, then it gives you a bit of bravery to go and do other things reasonably well until everything sort of levels up. Then I got bladdered, and the rest of the night's a little bit of a blur from there. Don't think I even went to bed. I think I just fell to bed. Day 2 comes along and I wake up with a hangover, and I've really got to go and sort of get up. So we get up and go for breakfast. Breakfast is lovely. We were down for breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was bloody empty, but I was so hungover, and there's such a lack of drinks in the hotel room. It's like, teeny, little teapot, a little tea. Oh, I can't be doing with no tiny teacup with some shonky, horrible tea bag that I don't really want. So we went downstairs for bacon, hash browns, and orange juice, which was just really nice. It really kicked the day off. And then we went upstairs, frankly fell asleep again for a little while until we had to get up. And on the Saturday, one of the first things that really struck me is the queue to get in the hall was absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. And then when we got downstairs, and this is an apology, this is a very minor apology, but when I went downstairs and saw the queue, Helen was still upstairs because she was feeling a bit sick because she likes a drink. So she was just sort of chilling out upstairs while I was going to go and get in the queue. And lo and behold, stood next to me as I'm approaching the end of the queue, stunned at the fact that it's going from the hall around there, down there, and round there, and round that way. Is Figure Death, Dorian, one of my fellow 5 Dreads for Bagage. And, A, Dorian's very tall. B, his hair is amazing. And he always does his hair like kind of, I am Megadeth rock god, with the bandana thing. And I don't get it, I'm not that way inclined. But you know, he obviously takes his time making it sure it looks pretty, and he's not been asleep. And there's another guy with him that's kind of a bouncer, and he's tall and wide, and he was a bit wired because he hadn't slept in a little while, and he was quite excitable. He was nice, he was a good guy. And Dorian said to me, "You seem a bit subdued. Are you all right?" Now, there's two reasons for this. A, I'm stinking hungover. B, there are some nerds sat on the floor playing Nintendo DS. Nothing wrong with that, that's fine, except that when the bloody queue moved out, because they were just getting ready to open the doors and we were all trying to move up a little bit, these two nerds didn't even notice because they're just playing on their Nintendo DSs. So they, "My Zelda sword is worth 16 points on a 6-sided dice," and didn't move. So I walked by, and then they got the fucking hump because I moved up the line when they were just sat down, and I'm like, oh, do you know what? Anyway, it was nice to have a chat with Dorian. He thought I was a bit subdued, but then I guess that's the difference between real life Dave, and Snow. So, you know, I had a few drinks and got into it as we went. And then the toy hall opened, and my toy hall expanded rapidly. I'd already bought my Sonic Convoy or Stew Dark Ages via the Lord of Time, which was awesome. And I got in there, and there was just infinite amounts of stuff. I mean, absolutely infinite amounts of stuff to go and buy. And I felt bad because during all of that, Helen doesn't like crowds. And we went around together, and I she took my arm because she was really nervous, and the more people piled into that hall, the less she wanted to be there. And I was very much torn between, I wanted to take her out and settle her down for a bit and sort of not buy her a pint because it was only fucking 9:45 in the morning, but just make an effort to actually go, no, it's okay, you won't die, the crowds won't kill you. But I understand, because I used to be agoraphobic. I used to when I was, I'm not going into it, but I completely know where she's coming from. The whole outdoor big crowds thing can be real scary. But I didn't. I was a scumbag and sat her right in the middle of the hall and said, "Look after my stuff. I'm gonna go and buy crack." Which is what I did. I just shopped till I dropped, till about 11:30, and we got back upstairs with our first dirty great big table full of toys that looked like this. And it was about, it must have been about 11, maybe 11:30. I mean, I pissed most of my money away in the first hour and loved every second of it. It was absolutely brilliant. I think I've only bought one thing that I kind of regret. I bought a tarantulas for £3. And when I got upstairs thinking I'd got some amazing deal, I'd actually read the packet and it's missing 3 legs and its front wheel. So while the chrome on it's perfect, apparently getting tarantulas legs, Transmetal 2 tarantulas legs, is near on impossible. You just can't get them. So that's fucked. That's £3 I never get and I'll never get back. But bearing in mind that was cheaper than buying a pint at the bar, I'll still have a little play with him. The meeting. The meeting of the clan, the meeting of the AA, the meeting of the Moonbase. The Moonbase 2 meet never happened, which I was moderately disappointed at. But really, the meeting went on and I didn't get involved, which is kind of crappy. I'd had a chance to have a chat with Dave, KP, the night before, which was really nice because when I was just sat there in a sort of drunken stupor, it was Dave that and as he came through the door, our eyes met across a crowded balcony and he went, "Mency, how you doing?" Now I've been spending, quite literally, 36 years and 51 weeks trying not to be called Mency, and then Dave walks through and goes, "Mency, how you doing?" But we sat down, we had a proper natter, and then unfortunately the drawbacks of being a famous staple landmark of the Transformers UK community meant that Dave got about 30 seconds to really sit down and sort of chew the cud before he got dragged off to do something else, which was fine. But yeah, sort of, so the AA, all the stuff, so you got people at the front announcing the guests, and I sort of took that opportunity to bugger off a little bit and go and do other stuff. And then Saturday night was incredible. Just incredible. I had so much I wasn't ready. I wasn't into the meetings. I wasn't into watching stuff. I didn't want to be part of it, join in with it. I just wanted to go there for toys. And you know what? I watched the panels. I watched the cosplay competition. I enjoyed the script reading so much. And there are two things that are amazing about the script reading. One was Sammy, who was just great as Waspinator. And I was very surprised because Sammy's loud. He's got a very big, sort of stood up straight, I've got big lungs, hello voice. And he's just sat there, and the first thing that came out was Razzblanautar. And I was like, wow. And then we're sort of watching, and you've got sort of, I think it's Liam Shalhoub, the tall guy with the made a comic once. Sat there, yes, and all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's just Greg Berger's time, and he just went, me, Grimlock, and I was like, the whole place just clapping and all sorts of shit. Fucking great. And it really caught me off guard at that moment, that just that bit really made me feel like, to hear that first line of him going, you know Dinobot, me Dinobot, and just all of it, all of it was worth it for that split second, that little moment, that time of hearing him do that made me realise that if you really are a fan, it's the one time where you truly can connect with what you're doing. And I love that. It's unashamed. I don't feel bad about it at all. It's my little opportunity to just go and geek out, be a nerd, and hear that and see that with your own eyes and that sort of thing. Anyway, after that you got the script reading and all that sort of stuff, and well done. And then KP announces we've got an extra guest. They did the Who's Coming to Auto Assembly next year and all that sort of stuff, and they did some videos, and Helen sat next to me when the voice of G1 Bumblebee came on. She's like, Bumblebee! And then at the end they said, oh, we've got an extra guest for you to speak to. We've got Mark Ryan on Skype if you all want to have a little chat with him. And I'm like, who? Really? And they put the face up, and it's, if you don't know, Mark Ryan is the voice of Jetfire from Generation 1, Jetfire from the movies Jetfire. And if you want to ask a question, and Dave's walking around with a microphone, and he's going up the front and he's going around the side and he's moving up towards me and he sort of sees me and he looks at me at the corner of his eye, and I'm like, because he takes the piss out of me on the podcast for being like the #1 unashamed Movieverse fan, and people are asking him questions and it's my go and I'm twatted. I've had like 2 pints while I've been sat through the bloody script reading and stuff. I've got half of my Jack Daniels and Coke. Put the rest of my Jack Daniels and Coke in a small plastic Coke bottle, like, so it's one of that and one of that. And I'm sat there drinking all the way through, thinking, hey, I haven't got to do anything, I can be silly. And all of a sudden I'm like, and Dave's like, yeah, you can ask a question. And I knew the question I wanted to ask. And then as soon as I got the microphone, all I thought was, Dave, you're pissed, and you're in front of all these people, and Mark Ryan, and now you've got to talk to him. And I opened my mouth and I just said, nothing came out. It was kind of embarrassing. It felt like a million years. I don't think anyone noticed. And I sat there, and what was the question I asked? Given that Generation 1 Jetfire was a very pragmatic and thoughtful person who really thought about his actions before he did anything, how did you feel about Jetfire being completely off the wall and opening random space bridges wherever he wanted to? And all the crowd went, which I was really pleased about, because I'm quite good in front of crowds and I like making people laugh. You may have noticed. And it was just, I don't think I even heard the answer after that. I like to hear the sound of my own heart going like that. Fucking mental. And I can't believe it. I was astonished, absolutely stunned that I got to talk to Mark Ryan from Revenge of the Fallen, which is like one of my favourite. I know no one likes it, but screw you guys, it's my favourite, and that's all there is to it. And it will be a defining moment in my life. Then we got to go out we went and got pissed, and everyone was talking, and it's nice that people were coming over to me, I was going over to them. I got to talk to Neil from the 5 Awesome Transformers guys, I got to talk to Sammy, I got to talk to just tons of people. I got to talk to all the people that were coming up to me going, "You're SMS number 1," and I got to sign some people's books, which was really weird but kind of cool at the same time. And for anyone who's been to the hotel before, there is a white piano by the lifts. Helen goes over and she goes, and I'm like, how did you do that? She's like, I've always been allowed to do it. And I'm like, I've always wanted to play the piano, you twat. And she, and this other girl comes over, whose name I now can't remember, and I'm very embarrassed. And if you hold on a moment, I'm just going to look it up. Is it Nikki, or I need to look at my photos? Nikki, or apparently her nickname is B. She comes up and starts playing the Transformers movie theme tune on the piano. That's brilliant, because I'm pissed and I'm a little bit going, oh, everything's really good. So she's doing this, and there's like 10, maybe 12 people just sort of flitting around, because the piano's quite loud when it's in a place where you wouldn't expect to hear it, so it drew a crowd. And then Ray, love your little self, comes over, and he just went, I'm full. Blade, this is amazing. He just came up, and for like 3 minutes he just went, I'm singing me a song. Just put it down and kind of went, and it disappeared and went off. It's just the most surreal little moment, and it's those little bits that made my weekend. After that, it's all more or less a blur, to be honest with you. It was just there's a couple of guys that I met that I'd just like to kind of know who you were, to be honest with you, because I struggle. I had a really good chat with George. I'd really like to sit down and talk to George when I'm not pissed and when it's not loud, because I'm deaf in one ear and I've got me fucking hoover doofer that goes in the ear. When it's loud and when I'm a bit trolleyed, I can't hear, and I really worry that I come across as rude or ignorant or just not talking to people sometimes, because it's not that I don't want to talk to you, I just can't fucking hear you, and it kills me because, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I was sort of on the way to being a sort of DJ producer that could have made a bit of money out of it, and then I went deaf and that all just came crashing round the ears. And it's little things like that still I frustrate myself so bad because I want to be able to hear and I can't. It just all gets a bit garbled. And so if you thought that I was being ignorant and wasn't really listening, I wasn't really listening, but not because I didn't want to, because I just can't. But yeah, the Saturday night was incredible. It was just incredible. Dodie telling me off for trying to steal his hat. Walking into a toilet and having a conversation with Bubs and Dave, only to find out that Helen's behind us taking a Smeggin photo. Bumping into Greg Berger in the lift and talking to him. It was just brilliant to sit and talk to Timey and to meet Cobra Commander, and Kai was there. Kai Keith Wong, can't remember your name. The Chief. The Chief was there. We sat and talked to the Chief for a little while, and just everyone was there, and it was just brilliant. And then I went to bed, and it turns out that Helen, after I went to bed, went to the shop, got a kebab, bought some vodka, drank all of it, turned into an absolute mess and caused loads of trouble, and I was fast asleep upstairs. And then Sunday was just kind of subdued, and I went and bought, an extra couple of bits. I got my Energon Megatron, Optimus, and the guy at the stall nearly didn't let me have it because he was like, I've put this by for someone. I was like, yes, you put it by for me, and I'm like, I'm sure it wasn't you. And I'm like, did he say, have you got your trailer and all the limbs? And he went, yeah. And I said, well, It's me, and he ended up giving it to me in the end. And I'm sure he said it was £12, not £20. But I paid £20 because I think £20 for a complete energon. I had to leave his box in the hotel room. We had to have a really good tidy around the hotel room. We both felt really quite poor. But the drive home was really nice. And it wasn't anywhere near as hectic or messy. I didn't get any sleep, but at the same time, it was nice to just sit and have a chill out. And then we went round Helen's, made sure all the toys that we had were in our own packages and boxes and suitcases, and then I went home and just chilled out and calmed down and went to bed, and then made stupid YouTube videos where I've got to go and do all the answers to all the replies, and then ended up doing this for what's probably half an hour or more. But Knowlesy's is 51 minutes, so if Knowlesy can do a 51-minute video, then I can do like a 40-minute one, because I never make long videos. Anyway, if you were this guy, I'm really sorry for putting a flash in your face. You'll know why. If you were the two guys that I met that wanted me to sign your books, then in the bar, you're more than welcome. And next time at AA, just stop apologising. It's not your fault. If you watch my videos and you want to come and say hello, don't apologise. Go for your life. And there is a little story about Time Lord dropping me in it, but I don't want to tell it because everyone's heart was in the right place, and if Matt wants to, then he can. This has been SMS number 1 on a proper ramble. You know yourselves, big 'em up.